Hello, my fellow readers. This is Dark Symphony 777 with another fan fiction reading. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts of the story, and finally, this is my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of everyone in the world, so please respect that. So, story I am doing a reading of this today is Check Things Twice by Yes, I Went There. That is certainly a name that exists. Yes, I went there. I couldn't resist. This is a Hyperdimension Neptunia fanfiction. Nice. Well, let's just get into it and see what we're doing. Noir, for once, was having a rather good day. All the paperwork of the day was finished, both without interruption and ahead of schedule. The same of all the meetings he had dreaded would take hours longer than they ended up. Not only that, but the quests for today had been relatively few, and borderline child's play for the goddess. To top it all, as a reward for clearing the last quest, Noir had gotten an absolutely lovely amulet as commemoration. She wore it around her neck as she walked, being of ruby color and cut into the shape of a heart. The person who gave it to her had granted her a warning beforehand, something about the amulet bringing bad luck and that she should handle it with extreme caution. That sounded silly to the goddess. She was never the type to be superstitious, so when she had heard it nonsense, it was difficult for her not to laugh. At the end of the day, though, she simply thanked them and went on. Overall, it had been a splendid day for Noir. Since it gathered rather late, she had opted to end the day with a hot shower and a warm bed. Maybe she could try asking Uni if she wanted to play some games with her. Noir blushed at the thought. But it wasn't anything harm in asking, right? Okay, so for context, if you've never played Neptunia, I'm getting off topic, but it's clarity's sake. If you've never played Neptunia or heard of the Neptunia franchise, all these girls are based off game consoles. So Noir is the PlayStation 3, and Uni is the PSP. And then you have the other consoles. You have Blanc, who's the Nintendo Wii, Ram and Ram, which are the DS. Vert and her gigantic spear is the Xbox, and then you have Neptune, which is the unreleased Sega Neptune, which was supposed to be the console after the Dreamcast, but they got canceled because they decided we're not cut out for console anymore. And also Nepgear, who was based off the Sega Game Gear. But yeah, that's okay. Let's go back. Let's continue on. Where was I? Yeah, right here. Eagerly, Noir stepped into the bathroom and closed the door behind herself. She leaned into the shower and turned on one of the knobs to allow the water to run. As steam quickly filled the bathroom as Celestation's goddess began to strip. She slipped out of her intricate dress and undid all the bells and whistles until Noir was completely nude. When she was done, she left her clothes folded neatly on top of the toilet, with the amulet resting right on top of it. The steam-filled bathroom enveloped Noir as she stepped in the warm, inviting embrace of the hot shower. Droplets of water cascaded down her naked body, tracing a path along her skin. The Ravenette let out a deep sigh of relief as the hot water enveloped her, gradually releasing the tension that had settled in her muscles. Noir tilted her head back, allowing the warm stream to cascade over her face, easing away the weariness etched into her features. All the demands and pressure that came with being a goddess faded away into insignificance at that moment. The Ravenette grabbed a bottle of soap and a loofah. This is weirdly specific. Alright. After squirting the substance onto the loofah, she rubbed it all over her nude form. Her naked body became coated in the soapy substance, from a modest breast down to her curvaceous hips and supple thighs. Supple thighs. Yes. Thick thighs save lives, after all. Once she was done washing her body, she repeated the process with her hair, getting her long locks caked in shampoo before she washed it all off. Anyone would have killed to have spent all their life savings to see the goddess of Celestation naked, much more covered in soap and suds. It's much to embarrass her to think about it. Noir was hardly a stranger to all the lewd creations made about her. Really, she was in competition for first place because she's a tsundere and people like tsunderes. Baka. Though that woman was certainly more proud of the fact that Noir was. Yeah, that her two big honking hair pieces. K-Shot didn't help matters at all, especially not since Noir had found some hidden cameras planted in this very bathroom just a few weeks ago, which the woman was still fiercely denied had anything to do with that. Noir instinctively looked behind her. She didn't find another concealed camera. She sighed. Was it possible that her friends made her more paranoid than her enemies? Honestly. As soon as she was done washing herself, Noir turned off the shower and stepped out, the lingering warmth still clinging to her skin, like a gentle embrace. Her plan was to take the nearby towel, dry herself off, and then redress before heading to the bathroom to rest. Except that there was just one tiny problem with that line of thought. Mainly the fact that both her towels and her clothes were gone. But the only thing left behind was the amulet, which was sat on the seat of the toilet. Naturally, there was only one proper response to a situation like this. Insert that one famous scream from the Neptunia anime. No? Nah. I must have been imagining things. What the hell? The new goddess desperately looked around the bathroom, clinging on to some vain hope that her belongings simply fell somewhere around without her noticing. Alas, since the bathroom was only but so big, there weren't very many places for the goddess to look. She had no clothes or even a towel to cover herself. Had an oblivious maid come in and taken her things back to her bedroom. When she didn't notice it, that was the only sensible explanation in Noir's mind. That still didn't solve her current situation. Slowly, taking care not to reveal herself too much, Noir opened the door and peeked out into the halls. Her room was at the very end, and much to her dismay, there was a few basilicom guards along the path to her room. Of course there were. Noir herself was the one that stationed there in case of an emergency. For once, the Raven was hating her past self-efficiency. There was no other choice for her. She'd have to walk down the path and risk being seen by the guards just to get to her room. The amulet sure wasn't going to do much to cover her here. Noir started to blush. Air right there. As the thought of anyone seeing her naked body was beyond embarrassing. But it was either this or camp out in the bathroom. Noir legitimately considered that option, but the entire Basilicom would be on high alert the moment someone noticed she was missing. So the Ravenette was forced to make her move. So is this like a nudity thing? Okay. Taking a deep breath and a vain attempt to calm herself down, Noir fully stepped out of the bathroom and began her trek down the halls. Her heart was pounding against her chest, her cheeks a deep scarlet, and every thought in her head was screaming at her to go back into the bathroom. Noir pushed those thoughts away as far back as she could manage as she started walking. Her breast, perky yet modest, bounced suddenly with every step that she took. Wait, is this even M-rated? It is M-rated. Okay. Second, I thought this was T-rated. It's like, okay. I was just... I was just curious. Okay, so where was it? Oh, yeah. Her breast, perky yet modest, bounced suddenly with every step that she took. Despite not being nearly as top-heavy as Vert was, hint, hint, her chest is like bazongas. And she really likes to let you know about it. Noir knew that her more lift body type tended to draw in a lot of unmatters both in and out of last station. The fact that none of them the more apparent than when Noir inevitably passed by the first group of guards. Noir did her best to keep her eyes facing center and never once look at them in the eyes. It was impossible not to notice the way they stopped and stared at her as she walked past, their conversation completely forgotten. Thankfully, neither of them brought any attention to Noir's nude state. Likely because they were both girls like her. The goddess was slightly grateful for that. Same couldn't be said for the next group. I mean, hey, wait a minute. What about Verb? If Verb's there, she'd just say, you could be my sister. I know I keep bringing up Vert when like belongs to my favorite Nep girl. Nep. Yeah. There. The same couldn't be said for the next group of guards she came past, both being men who instantly negated their duties to ogle the naked goddess. Normally, Noir would have felt inclined to fire them on the spot for failing their task, but at the moment she was far too embarrassed to do anything related to her normal duties. So she simply continued to walk past. Huh? Startled by the noise, Noir turned around. She regretted it instantly, her eyes widening when she caught the sight of a smartphone in one of the guard's hands, who was currently grinning ear to ear. Click. Hey! Noir's embarrassment quickly turned to anger as she tried to grab the guard's phone. However, he held it just out of reach from her hands due to his tall build, leaving the raven-haired goddess to reach vainly, before she realized that her naked body was rubbing up against the guard's front side. She quickly pushed herself off when she realized the fact with a massive flush on her face. Ugh! With a huff, Noir turned around and stopped down the halls, much faster than she had been intending. She could still hear the two male guards laughing in the background as she knew they were scrolling through pictures they just took of her. Well, Noir doubted they'd be laughing much when they found out they had fired, but that was a topic for tomorrow. Eventually, thankfully, Noir finally made it back to her bedroom and quickly made her way inside. With her heart pounding against her chest, the ribbon-haired goddess stopped for a moment to lean back and deep breathe, closing her eyes until her pulse steadied to a more even pace. Well, that was easily one of the more humiliating things she had ever endured in her life. Of course, her good day was too good to be true, and it had to be muddled by something like that. Once Noir got a bearing on herself, she made her way towards her bed. There, much to her surprise, she found her clothes neatly folded and a well-written letter from a maid. So it was absolutely a confused maid then. Honestly. Well, it didn't matter anymore. She just hoped that this wasn't going to be a repeating issue. Though Noir had a weird feeling it wasn't going to be that simple for her. In the heart of a dense and long-winded forest, bathed in dappled sunlight, Noir was on a very important mission. As the leader of Last Station, Lady Blackheart was not only a goddess, but also a symbol of strength, wisdom, and protection for her people. As such, when certain matters required her immediate attention, she would never hesitate to answer the call to action and defend her beloved nation. On this particular day, Noir emerged from the forest with a sense of accomplishment after completing several crucial quests. In response to a surge of high-ranking monsters that had been encroaching upon the boundaries at Last Station, she took it upon herself to defend her people and preserve the peace. With her divine prowess and her trusted blade by her side, she engaged in fierce battles against the malevolent creatures, ensuring their threat was swiftly vanquished. Of course, it hadn't been just her on this mission. Uni and Keisha was helping too, along with some adventurers from the guild, way and beyond, spreading out to other portions of the forest to engage in the threat. There were just too many monsters for one goddess, and Noir wasn't stupid enough to face it all alone. Well, not stupid enough anymore. Curse you, nep. Just as she thought, she started receiving a call from Uni over her earphone. Noir pressed it once. Uni, I just finished clearing all the sectors on my end. How are you holding up? Huh, as expected of my big sister, she's always done first. Uni said, almost exasperated over the radio. We're just clearing out the last of them right now. Keisha, too. We should be able to rendezvous soon. Got it. I'll meet you at the waypoint. Noir said with a nod before adding, and Uni, stay safe. Of course I will. You can count on me, sis. I know. With that final statement, the call ended, and Noir was left a little flushed. Honestly, Uni was growing up so fast. It was almost impossible for the goddess to keep up on her own. Felt just like yesterday that she was so meek and unsure of herself. Now it looked like Last Station was going to be in capable hands. In that moment of silence, Noir thought about what had happened the previous night in her accidental spout of nudity. She hadn't mentioned that in certain instances to anyone, and the rude guards had been promptly fired. Much to her delight, and she wanted to move on from it as though it hadn't happened at all. Still, when she thought about being naked in front of people, why did she feel strangely excited? Oh no, Noir, don't go that route. No, don't be like a Lapani. Why would I think of a Lapani? No. Nah, that couldn't be right. She must have been just imagining that feeling. Obviously. Snapping out of her reminiscing, Noir turned and came face to face with several jellyfish dogu floating her way. All colored people, which Noir remembered as indicating that they were poisonous. Oh. Some fodder enemies, huh? With a confident smile. Noir drew her sword and pointed at the dogus. You are a lot or nothing compared to the batch of Fenrir's that came before you. Honestly, do you want to meet an early end? A dogu! Noir heard a cry from behind her, but she couldn't even afford to turn her head before she felt something strike her from behind, feeling like a cold, slimy tentacle coming into contact with her backside. Okay. It was only when Noir started to crumble that she realized more jellyfish Doggoose has snuck up behind her without noticing. Is this going to be like a Is this going to be a tentacle thing? Oh god, I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going. Wait, I gotta. Okay. I was not expecting this to be erotica, but here we are. Instantly, her limbs felt heavy and unresponsive as the poison took effect of her. Noir groaned, trying in vain to get up, but only succeeding in turning herself over to fall straight on her back. Once in that position, Noir's eyes widened in horror when she saw easily a half-dozen jellyfish doggoos floating over her as if they were predators looking over their prey. Noir also remembered reading that doggoo jellies tended to make clothes melt, and that fact came to the center of her mind as the monster started touching her dress. Please don't. Alas, none of her words would be recognized by the intelligible monsters. Their slimy tentacles, and cold jelly coated her entire body in their icky substance. And Noir, screaming and writhing, practically fell on deaf ears as her dress and weapons were completely dissolved under the fluids. Weapons? What? Would they do that? Never mind. This pretty much has become hentai logic now. There's no reason to make any sense. Until she was left completely naked and exposed. Ugh. You all suck, Noir seethed at them, wishing so badly to kill all the doggoos that remained oblivious to her embarrassment. All they ever did was smile and coo at her without a care in the world. Swing slash woo! Dogoo! Fortunately, Noir's prayers would be answered sooner than expected. A heavy blade appeared out of nowhere and cut all the floating enemies apart in one fluid motion, sending them away in a digitalized mass that they never existed in the first place. Her savior was a young adventurer she recognized from the guild, sporting short jet black hair with a very muscular build due to his lack of shirt. He was tall and lumbering, and his handsome physique had Noir blushing, but not as much as she was thankful for being saved. Oh, thank the goddess, Noir sighed in relief. As embarrassed as she was of being seen, naked by one of her citizens, it was completely outweighed by her gratitude. You have no idea how happy I am to see you. I've just been poisoned by these stupid things and I can't move. Poisoned, you say? He asked, his voice deep and rumbling. Oh my! God dang it, Zarbon. Why am I thinking of Zarbon now? Damn it! I have to do it. I had to do it. Yes, and I know this is a little embarrassing, but I appreciate if you carry me back. So wait, why are you taking your pants? Of course. Of course. Noir practically screeched as her savior started to unbuckle his pants, sending him straight to his ankles and exposing his boxers, which were rapidly developing a bulge. He was grinning from ear to ear, as he'd been waiting for an opportunity like this his entire life. Yes, he's been waiting for Noir to just. I'm overcomplicating things. I'm honestly overcomplicating things. I'm making it more funny than I think it should be. Because, he said as he rushed to kick his pants to the side, taking off his boots next. You've been poisoned, meaning you're defenseless. That means I can do whatever I want to you. Yes, as long as she's poisoned. How long do you think she's going to be poisoned for? As he proclaimed that, he pulled off his boxes and tossed them aside. Noir blushed even deeper as he saw his massive cock. That's right, he's holding a massive cock. I'm making this more funny than it has any right to be. I know, I said that before, I'll say it again. Okay, so where was I? His massive cock! Standing at attention, and the horror that built up inside of her as she realized what was about to happen. Even then, why did she feel such a strange sense of excitement welling up in her chest? Stop. Don't get near me. Still, she begged him to stop his advance, but he was hardly listening to her as he towered over her body. He got to his knees and put his hands on either side of Noir's head, his giant chicken rubbing up against her stomach. The length of it alone was enough to match the length of her stomach. It was liable to rupture something. Yeah, this is just full on hentai logic now. Cocks as big as forearms, probably as wide as a head. What kind of head? Guess what kind of head? Okay. The length of it alone was enough to match the length of her stomach. It was able to rupture something if it actually went inside her. The goddess of lastation. Oh, to myself. He started to drool as he lumbered over her, his eyes crazed with lust. I always dreamed of this moment, and now it's finally happening. You're seriously creepy, Noir cried out. Seriously, stop this right now, and I might just consider forgetting this ever happened. No way in hell. The lumbering guy shook his head. What kind of sane man would ever pass this opportunity up? I'm gonna fuck Lady Noir, saying that he positioned his throbbing cock over her vagina. Here I come. My nipples. God damn it. My mind just goes. The moment I hear an innuendo, my mind just goes immediately to Zarbon. Here I come, Lady Noir. Now go! Ah! Before anything horrible could happen to Noir, a gunshot rang out and an energy bullet hit the perverted guild agent in the back of the head, knocking him out instantly. He fell on his side and Noir was left untouched, as both Uni and K-Shock came to her aid. What a disgusting creature, trying to violate Keisha like that. Her looks could kill, then Keisha's gaze would be enough to lay waste to the deity of sin. I should have done more than knock you out. Sis, are you okay? Uni cried as she ran up to her, worried. I'm fine. You didn't do anything to me, Noir explained to her in an attempt to calm down her sister. I was poisoned, so one of you might need to carry me. I'll do it! Of course Keisha would do it. An instant, Keisha's scary look was entirely replaced by an eager one as she rushed to scoop Noir up in her arms. I'll carry you back, my beloved. Hey! Who said you could do that, Uni asked, glared at the older woman. Who says I can't carry my own sister? Someone needs to bring that guy back. Why don't you do it? I'm not touching that creep. While the two of them bickered, all Noir could do was sigh and shake her head as she mulled in silence. Still, she couldn't ignore just how excited she felt back there, could she? No. In the heart of last station, Noir strolled through the bustling streets, her presence commanding attention and admiration. The streets were alive with a vibrant mix of people, each dressed in their own interpretations of steampunk fashion, creating a mesmerizing tapestry of creative and innovation. Merchants paddled their wares from elaborate stalls, offering a dazzling array of brass trinkets, cog-shaped jewelry, and steam-powered gadgets. Nearly all of them seemed to take a moment to stop what they were doing, entirely to gawk at her in admiration. As she passed by, some greeted her with nods of respect, while others whispered in hushed tones, recognizing her as the goddess of last station. They were, of course, some rather unsavory whispers among those people, all notably centered on the little incident a few days ago that she was specifically trying everything in her power to avoid thinking about. As she walked, her vermilion eyes took in the wonders of last station, a city that seemed to have emerged from the pages of a fantastical novel. Towering buildings adorned with brass and copper stretched towards the heavens, their gears and clockwork mechanism humming harmoniously like the heartbeat in the sky. Steam-powered carriages guided along the streets, leaving trails of mist in their wake, and airships soared through the skies above, traversing invisible highways. Though the city boasted advanced technology, it was also adorned with lush greenery and breathtaking gardens, a testament to the harmonious coexistence of nature and industrial marvels. Clockwork fountains sprayed droplets of water into the air, creating rainbows in the sunlight, while mechanical butterflies flitted through the air, their wings shimmering like iridescent jewels. As Noir continued her leisurely walk, she exchanged warm smiles and friendly nods with passerby, effortlessly embodying the graciousness of a leader who genuinely cared for her people. Her footsteps echoed with confidence, each one carrying the weight of responsibility and dedication to the advancement and prosperity of last station. It was in moments like these where Noir liked to bask in the atmosphere of her city, one that she had worked so hard to ensure its prosperity with the many years she had ruled as a goddess. Often she liked to go on walks like this to help clear her mind and get her back on track. Though, for once, it wasn't helping. Noir sighed, stopping in the middle of the street and leaning back against a light pole as people passed by her. She dug in her pockets and pulled out an amulet she got as a gift just a few days prior. It became much clearer to her that the stupid thing was probably the source of all her problems. Maybe that seller was onto something after all. Noir glanced at a nearby trash can, and without a second thought she promptly threw it in there, groaning to herself as a certain weight lifted off her life for good. But there wasn't only the source of her troubles, there was something else that was much more complicated than just throwing it in the trash bin. So every single time she ended up naked in public, she got a genuine thrill of excitement for it. There wasn't any way to deny the fact that, no matter how much she tried to, Over the course of the last few days, it seemed that Noir had unlocked a new type of fetish. So, what was she supposed to do about it? As if by divine intervention from the true goddess herself, the back of Noir's dress ended up getting caught by a passing trolley and jerked her around with quite a force. Instinctively, she reached out to try and grab the bowl to balance herself. Rip. Oh boy. Which came at the cost of her dress being torn completely from her body. Her entire center completely exposed as the torn remnants of her outfit drifted off in the wind. All at once. Everything just seemed to stop. The various citizens walking around La Station all stopped everything they were doing just to look at what happened. And Noir was left completely frozen in shock as she slowly realized she was completely naked in the heart of her own fucking city. Slowly. Nervously, Noir turned around with her eyes wide as saucers. She didn't make a noise or any real attempt to even try to cover herself. All she did was stand there, her heart pounding against her chest as she realized that the excitement was building up in her chest all over again. No, actually. It was much worse than that. The excitement was overtaking her entire being, as all the eyes in the crowd were centered squarely on her, at her, and her alone. Most of the men in the crowd had brought out their phones and recorded the moment, with some even whistling, while the women were yelling at them and trying to get to her. Noir stood still, frozen as if she was on pause. She didn't want them to stop looking at her. She enjoyed it. As she bit her lip, she felt a boiling sensation well up inside of her loins, as the wetness started to stain her panties, which no doubt didn't go unnoticed by the crowd around her. Lady Noir! A few civilian women settled her around her and covered her with coats, yet she didn't respond to it at all. Even as she was being taken away, the goddess of the station only had her mind centered on a singular thing. She absolutely, without a doubt, had a fetish for public nudity. Yes, it's called exhibitionism. Now, all the station was aware of it. Well, there was only one way for her to solve this, wasn't there? Almost done. The concert venue buzzed with excitement as the citizens of the station eagerly filled every available seat. Their enthusiasm palpable in the air. The lights danced painfully, creating a kaleidoscope of colors across the stage, while the anticipation built to a crescendo. Noir stood poised behind the curtains, her heart pounding with a mix of nerves and exhilaration. The moment had arrived, as a symphony of cheers reached a deafening pitch. The curtains slowly parted, revealing Lady Noir in all her glory. A collective gasp swept through the crowd as they laid eyes on her, dressed in an alluring ensemble that exuded elegance and confidence. Her attire, a mesmerizing fusion of ethereal fabrics and shimmering jewels, accentuated her every move. This had been a surprise, for sure. Nor had never been the type to extravagant displays such as this, as if she was an idol instead of a goddess of a nation. Had it been, had it been any other person, Noir would have been likely to curse him out for doing something so stupid. However, the Noir Naval didn't care anymore. As she walked closer to the stage, she was illuminated in a bright display of light. Coming out of it was none other than Blackheart, nude as the day she was brought into this world for anyone to see. The cheers from the crowd were loud enough to be heard outside of the station. With a radiant smile, Blackheart gracefully made her way to the center of the stage, where a strikingly polished pole stood tall, waiting. Her art. Is this entire story just a prelude for a stripper? What? Don't question it. It's poor logic. Awaiting for her artful embrace, the opening notes of a sensual, electrifying song filled the air, sending pulses of excitement through the audience. Her heart pounding in rhythm with the music. Blackheart reached out and took hold of the pole, her fingers wrapping around it with a delicate, yet firm grip. With a flick of the wrist, she launched into motion, spinning effortlessly around the pole, defying gravity with each elegant revolution. Her body seemed to float, another worthy dancer whose every movement was a masterpiece in and of itself. Time seemed to slow as Blackheart's mesmerizing performance unfolded. She glided up and down the pole with the grace of a swan, her body a symphony of curves and lines that wove a tale of passion and expression. Her every twist and turn told a story, evoking emotions that resonated deeply with her fans. The atmosphere was electric, charged with an energy that pulsated between the goddess and her adoring audience. They were spellbound, caught in the enhancing web Blackheart had woven around them. Whispers of awe and amazement filled the air, intermingling with the electrifying beats of the music. As the song transitioned into a softer melody, Blackheart's movements shifted to reflect a more tender side of her artistry. With fluid grace, she glided along the length of a pole, her touch so gentle it seemed as she was caressing the very air around her. Her fans watched with bated breath, connecting with the vulnerability and emotion emanating from the stage. A sudden burst of energy, the music surged once more, and Blackheart's performance escalated to new heights of passion and intensity. She executed daring acrobatic feats, soaring through the air with fearless abandon, leaving her fans in awe of her physical prowess and dedication to her craft. Meanwhile, if it was Bert there, she just put her boobs between the pole and then just rub them down and said, "You want that?" You know, that is something Bert would probably do. Blonde would just take one look at the pole and then pull out their hammer. It's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you all." And Neptune would just ask for pudding. Yep. Pudding? Okay. As the performance neared its climax, Blackheart embraced the pole one final time, executing a breathtaking aerial spin that defied all expectations. Time seemed to stand still just as she soared. A radiant star in her own celestial galaxy. The crowd erupted into a thunderous applause, their cheers a testament to the pure artistry and talent they had just witnessed. Breathless and glowing with pride, Blackheart was slow to a descent with her legs spread open for absolutely everyone to see, her eyes shining with lust. And when the crowd was taking pictures of her, paying attention to her and her alone as if Blackheart was the most important thing in the world. She loved it, adored it even. Her body was caked in sweat from all the movement she just performed, but there was another fluid on her thighs that everyone was sure to have noticed by now. Blackheart was horny, painfully so. There was only one way to solve that. Noir's hand started rubbing down her thighs, quickly earning the attention of her audience. Blackheart shuddered, almost violently as her hand slowly made its way over to her crotch, her fingers lingering over the glistening folds. Blackheart whimpered when her dishes made contact and shuddered when she started rubbing. Slowly, gently, Noir massaged the folds of her vagina. It was much, but still enough to make her body jerk, like she got electrocuted, and covered her mouth with her hand, muting her moaning. Now, in a week before, something like this would have been out of a place, like in a fantastical adult fan doujin, probably written by Blanc. And now Noir was doing it in front of an entire nation. The worst part, though, she loved it. Then, slowly, she pushed two of her fingers inside. The reaction was instant. Blackheart nearly shrieked from the insertion. Very lewd noises slipping right out of his assault. As she fingered herself, drool started to trail down her chin as she massaged and touched her genitals. A hot spark of electric shooting up her spine. Her pussy felt very hot and very tight. Her insides were practically clamped down on her fingers, like a wet, gooey hallway of arousal that reacted to even the slightest touch. Even Noir's slow and deliberate movements were enough to make her leg shake. She decided to go a little more bold, increasing her fingers' pacing. Oh my! Noir's breathing got heavy, deliberate and spaced out. She could hear all but hear her own heart pounding, her body shuddering from all the attention that was placed squarely on her. Before long, Noir felt herself approaching an orgasm. As if to give her fans one final showing, she jerked her hips out as far as possible as Finger herself got faster and faster, wanting that sense of relief as quickly as possible. It was glorious, really, when Noir's orgasm finally happened. The full brunt of the orgasm sprayed out into the crowd, much more than she expected. Some of it even hit her audience's faces. Noir twitched, her mouth open, but no yells coming out. She fell straight onto her back, breathing deeply as she felt nothing but short of bliss from that display. Sis, what the hell are you doing? And now that feeling was promptly ruined when Uni came running onto the stage. Her face flushed as she seemed nothing sort of a ghastly situation right in front of her. Oh. In that moment, Noir prayed for nothing more than the deity of sin to come back and kill her right there. So that's the story. Yeah, that's probably... Yes, I went there. That probably explains the story, the name now. So what do I think of the story? It's not funny. It's well written. I'm gonna give it that. It does have... The author did do a good build up to it. Noir's whole thing of discovering the fetish was at least well done in the length it took, because it's this long. However, it's not funny. It's not a humor story. I don't know why the author decided to put this as a humor story? I don't know. You ask me. Honestly, I didn't even notice. I didn't even realize it was going to be erotic. But oh well. That is check things twice. Yes, I went there. I would probably give it a 4 out of 5. It's well written. Everything's good. There's just one grammar error. I think it's good. Not great, but good. So yeah, story. Oh, I have nothing more to say about this story because I didn't realize I shared it. That's what I get for being curious.